morning. I think it's still morning. Welcome to the Loch Briar Knits podcast. I'm Kelly, your host. This is episode, I think 138. 137? No, I think we're 138 today. Today is a lovely, warm April 29th. It's Saturday, 2023, for any of you watching in the future. It is so lovely out, so I thought, and it's supposed to be nice tomorrow as well, so I thought I better get my podcast done now because I have a small window of opportunity to finally get my garden cleaned out before things start growing too much in it. And I can't do it next weekend because I'm hosting a writing retreat down at the Schooner House. So I thought I don't have a whole lot to show today because I have no finished objects. It's mostly projects that I've made progress on, like you've probably already seen a few times. But let's jump in because I do have some future knitting that I was thinking about. Let's jump into the good stuff. One thing I have been working on, it's been work has been crazy busy and stressful. We've had another employee put their notice in. I think we're down to 6 now. And I stopped in the middle of a row. Okay, wait. Wait. Let's get to the end of this row so I can actually show this off properly. I think I got interrupted when I was knitting yesterday. Then my husband was away in Toronto all week. So of course that meant I had full-time dog duty. Just not that much work, honestly. It's pretty much doing what I do normally because I'm sort of the usual dog walker. So we got our dog walks in because it was beautiful all week. Except for one day, and I feel like I've got something floating on my eyelash. I don't know what it is. Be some mascara maybe, I don't know. Yeah, it's just he was gone from Tuesday morning to Friday evening. It's just me and the dog. So yeah, so I did a little knitting in the evenings. And then I did some reading. I'm really trying to up my reading time because I have so many books to read. And of course, I keep buying more. I think books are my new yarn, which is ridiculous. I have as many books in my to be read pile as I do yarn in my to be knit pile. I don't need to be buying more books. I always feel that if I stumble upon a book that I'm like, oh, that sounds really good, and I want to read it, that I'm afraid if I don't buy it right away, I'll forget the title or, whatever, and then I won't be able to find it again. So I've been doing more reading as well in the evenings. I'm the type of person that likes to soak in a hot tub and read a book. And then of course my morning time before work is writing. I'm in the middle of heavy edits right now for the first book in my new series, the Lindwell series. And I did my cover reveal. I'll stick it up. I think it ends up over here. I'll stick up the new cover for the book. That's the one I'm editing right now. I have to get it back to my editor at the end of May, and I'm hoping to release it in September, October. So once it does goes through this edit, then it'll go through a cleanup edit, then it'll go through a kind of copy edit, read through, then a final read through, and then off it goes into the big bad world. Okay, we are almost at the end here. This that I am knitting right now is my 4th or 5th Free Your Fade shawl. What I did with this one is I chose the Upcycle Alpaca from Knit Picks. Here we go, we're ready to go. I'm gonna put my glasses on so I can actually see what I'm doing. So the Upcycle yarn is, let me see, I got a tag here. So it's a sport weight, and the Free Your Fade is generally knit out of a fingering weight. But I think I ended up using the needle that this yarn was suggested for. That was suggested for this yarn. I think that's the proper grammar. And then just follow the pattern. But if you haven't done the Free Your Fade before, you do 3 colors and you start off, I've got 2, I'm doing the fade right now, so I've got kind of two different ones on the on the needle, so I'm going to try to detangle myself. So you start off with the one color. You do this one at the beginning, and you don't use a whole lot of the first ball, and then you do the middle part and you use more of the middle part. But here's what happened. I started to run out of the middle amount. So this is what I have left. And I'm doing the fade right now, but I'm doing it about 10 rows early, just because there's just no way I was gonna have enough to do 10 rows and then the fade. So I started doing the fade early, but I'm a little concerned because if memory serves, you use the most yarn in the last ball of it. So I'm a little worried I may not have enough yarn to do the last bit. But the thing is too that you can kind of stop at any time. But the other option is that I do still have this much left of the first ball of yarn. So worst case, I could just do another fade, but these I don't know, like I don't think the contrast will be huge, but it could still be doable. But I think what I might do is once I start getting near the end of this ball is once I kind of get to the end of it, I'll just do the bind off, because I think at that point, and I think if memory serves, you do the picot and you do a picot bind off, which is time consuming, but it looks so lovely. So I think what I will do, actually what I might do is I'll use this until I get down to the end, and then I might do 2 rows of this and then use this to do the picot binding, just to give it a little contrast. That I've kind of been working on this week a lot, especially. I'll show you how long this is at this point. I think since the last time, this is where I was the last time I showed this. So since then, I have knit this much. There, from like here to here. So, and I haven't decided yet. I do like how that fade is showing up. That's got like, that's a little more high contrast than what the next one's going to be. I do like how this is turning out. I'm curious to see how much it softens up when I do the silken block. But I haven't decided yet. I may gift this one. I would really like to kind of knit as much Christmas gifts as I can, as I think that will just be a really good stash buster, since this year is all about busting the stash. Like, I've got my brother-in-law's stocking this year for Christmas. So I mean, I've got the fire pit mitts and the go for him, which I haven't touched since the last episode. And I thought maybe I might do a shrug for my sister. So I know that my niece, my brother's daughter, really likes purples. So maybe, and she's going to university in the fall, maybe I will give her this for Christmas, and then maybe knit up another one for my other niece, my sister's daughter, and do that for her for a gift. There's gonna be a lot of sock knitting. I still have to finish my sister's. If you follow me on Instagram, you will have seen so I was knitting along, just, you know, kind of bopping along, and I wanted to see how far down I was compared to the original sock. So I held the sock together, or like held the socks together, and as you will see, one is much thicker than the other. I thought, was I just knitting at a tighter gauge? Because if you like, and then I kind of, when I held it up, I thought it looks like it's 2 rib sections wider. So I counted this, and then I counted this. And in fact, this is 10 stitches wider. I had cast on the wrong stitch count for this. I cast on 70 instead of 80. So I kind of hemmed and hawed because if you've been watching, you know that I find knitting these socks where it's so long, like you're knitting a longer leg and it's 5x3 ribbing, and it just feels like it goes on forever. I don't like doing ribbing a whole lot. It's not my, it's probably one of my least favorite things. And I don't mind doing it for, like, you know, if I'm doing it for, you know, the cuff on a sweater or whatever. But for me, socks is kind of a relaxing knit. And I find with the 5x3 rib, I have to constantly be counting, or I'll default to doing 2x2. 5x3, no, sorry, 3x2. It's 3x2 rib. So if I'm not paying attention, I default to 2x2. So I constantly have to be going 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, or I'm just gonna mess it up. So I do find it really tedious, and it feels like it goes on forever. I was trying to think, could I fudge it? But when I stretched it out, and then I stretched this one out, I was like, yeah, you know, it's a noticeable difference. We're talking like 10 stitches, which, you know, was like a ribbing. And then, so when you expand it, you're gonna notice. But I didn't feel like unwinding this, and I thought, I am pretty sure I have enough left in the ball to get me through another sock. So I just took this off the needle. If I do need to steal some from this, I can just kind of unwind it. And once I'm done, I have a few minutes, I will unwind it and put this into a ball in my odd bits basket, as I call it. So I cast this on, and my plan was to knit, I was going to try to do 1.5 inches every day in the evenings, which I got I did for about 3 days, and then I just needed a break. So I was working on the Free or Fade for the last couple of days, because my husband was out. So I was watching on Prime Video, I was watching Death Row Stories, I think it's called. I love true crime. I love true crime documentaries and podcasts and all that, which maybe not the best thing to watch when you're home alone. But I was getting like right into watching it, and I thought, I'm gonna forget and I'm gonna mess this up again. And I was like, there's no way I'm starting from the beginning. So I just kind of set that aside, and I was working on the Free or Fade, because that was just sort of like straight back and forth ribbing for the most part. I am going to pick this up again this weekend. I am like down to here. So I can get down to here today, probably. We're going out to dinner. My husband's birthday's tomorrow, but we're going to go this evening. But I can get down to here anyway. And then once I get to this part, it's just like the sock, I do a heel flap and gusset. I find that goes really quickly. And then after that, it's kind of smooth sailing, because it's just straight knitting. I can do that anywhere. I can do it watching TV. It's not a problem. So my goal, I think I said this last time, best laid plans. My goal is to have this finished by next podcast. Hold me to that. Mock me if it's not. That's in my bento bag from Fringe Supply Company from eons ago. The other thing I did work on, and the other thing I believe I said I was going to be finished and was not, was my classic sweater number 2. I did finish the first sleeve. What I did was I did have some pooling on the arm, because I wasn't switching balls, because it was on the sleeve. I really don't like switching strands when it's mohair, if I can avoid it. And to be perfectly honest, like, I didn't do any switching of the yarn back and forth here. I did make some modifications to this, because you'll see where I have the little stitch marker here. So what I did do was, as I was going, I thought the sleeve, which is funny because I did a size down from my other sweater, but I still found that the sleeves were about the same width. So, and I'm trying to remember if, I think the sleeve for size 1 and size 2 might have been the same, but I did find it was like, it felt a little looser. So what I did, and you can kind of see like this way, I think you can kind of see where it kind of goes in a bit, which when I'm wearing it, you're not going to see that. But what I did was on where I have this here, I decreased every 5 stitches? Thankfully, I wrote it down because I knew I wouldn't remember. Once I did that, and then every 5 rows, I did another decrease, and then every 5 rows, I did more decreases, and then here I did more decreases. And then I knit the cuff longer than normally. I would have cut it off like about here, but it just wasn't quite at the length yet that I wanted. So I knit it a little longer. The sleeves are like kind of nice and loose, and then they kind of like come in a bit more fitted at the sleeve, and I kind of like the look of it. I do have to cast on sleeve number 2. I'm not going to do that until I finish my sister's sock. And it's at the point of the year now where I'm not actually gonna get to wear this, which really kind of sucks. But that is for any newbies here. By the way, welcome, welcome. This is what I'm knitting it out of. This is Illimani Echo Llama, and this is their, I think it's the caramel color. Most of the colors are numbered now, but sometimes when you look it up, you'll find this one and it's called caramel, or caramel, I guess. And this one is, the Mohair is Good Fibrations, and this is the Spring Frost. And this was dyed for the Loop, which is my local yarn shop. So I think that might be the only place you can get it. So that is the progress I've made on that. So I've kind of made progress on everything, but I don't have anything finished. But that's not so bad. But what I did do, I did refrain. There's a few things that I really want to cast on because I think they would also make some good gifts, and they're smaller projects. So I want to, I don't think I have it here, but the leftover city cowl, I've made 2 of those already, and they use like leftover yarn that you have, and then you do, that was the pattern that I used to teach myself how to do color work. So it's just basically you've got like a regular stripe, and then you have kind of a one-on-one color stripe, and then regular, and then one-on-one color. So it goes by so fast, and they're really, excuse me, it's really relaxing to knit. So the other thing that I want to do is, I think I have 2 things. The Puntilla by Hohi Locatelli was the first sweater I ever knit, and I love it. I wear it all the time, but it is starting to look a little beat up because I wear it all the time. And I really want to make another one. So I think what I'm going to do is, once I finish my other sweater, is I am going to make one out of Knit Picks Stroll Tweed. And this is the Dill Heather colorway. So this is the Stroll Tweed. It's fingering weight, so it'll be a little lighter to knit in the winter time. It'll be a little cooler to knit as the weather warms up. The other thing that I want to knit is, I would really like to do, this sweater that I'm wearing here is from Everlane, which is a sustainable clothing company that you can order online. I love this sweater so much, I went back and bought one, sort of a sagey green color, but if you can see, it's like kind of cropped, it's nice and loose. These are made out of cotton. Now, I think the white, I was gonna say White Horse again, White Mountains by Midori Hirose, she's coming out with a fingering version of that sweater. It's not out yet though, and I'm really hoping it does. I could do either that, or I could do the classic sweater and just make a shorter neckline and then kind of do the thicker ribbing on it. But I thought I might try to knit one. I do have some cotton yarn. I'm not a big fan of knitting with cotton yarn, but I would like to have a gray one. And I thought it would be nice to be able to wear over like a sleeveless dress if I wanted to wear that to work or something like that. So here are the two colors in the Illimani Sabri line that I have. This, I've got, I think, enough of this to make a sweater. Now the other thing too is that the classic is a fingering weight held with a mohair, which kind of makes it more DK weight. So what I might have to do is just kind of look around and try to find just a basic raglan sweater that's in fingering weight. The other sweater I find that I wear a lot is the Bright Side by Espace Tricot. I wear that one to death. Like that seems to be my go-to throw-on one if I want a lighter sweater. But that one was made out of sport weight, and I think the pattern calls for either a sport or DK, but that's kind of the idea. Like I just want something like this, sort of boxy. I looked at the Joji Locatelli, I forget what it's called now, but I think that might be too boxy for what I'm looking for. But my thought was, if I can maybe, I've got this color here, which is just color 84. And then this one here is, this one's Sabri too. I don't know what the difference between, oh yeah, that one's a thicker yarn. I grabbed the wrong one. So I basically have this in this color. This is the Sabri too, which is sort of like a bit of a chain DK weight. But they also have this color in this yarn here. And I do have it in there. I just don't know where it is. Oh, I know where it is. It's upstairs. But I thought that might be also a good option for some summer, for a summer sweater. And where I find cotton just doesn't have the give that, you know, a knit sweater was, this one does. So it's probably something else in it. I thought maybe if I do it kind of in a loose, where it's like a looser fit, that it's not going to matter. I'm not going to feel like I'm squeezed in like a sausage. That's some future knitting plans. The other future knitting plan is to do a couple leftover city cowls. I also want to start a scrappy blanket. I'm just not sure which one I'm going to do yet. I think what I might do, and I was kind of thinking about this, but I'm not 100% sure, is to do the homespun house advent calendar into the hibernation. No, that's not right. Habitation Throw by Helen Stewart, which was made for minis. Yeah, so that's kind of what the future knitting is. And then I also need to finish up these here. So that is about all that is going on. Like I said, this weekend coming, I'm hosting a writing retreat down at the Schooner House with me and a few friends. That's going to go like Friday to Sunday, but I always take some knitting down with me because sometimes your brain needs a break. That's really all that's going on. The weather is getting really beautiful, so I gotta get the garden cleaned out before I start. If I leave it any longer, I'm gonna be raking up flowers as I'm cleaning it out, and I don't want that to happen. Also, I need to figure out where the bare spots are, and then I'll have to I'm not gonna grow the flowers from seed. I did that last year, and then I didn't remember what any of them were, and then when they started coming up, I'm like, I don't know, is that a flower? Is it a weed? I don't know. I'm not that versed in gardening. I'm like an accidental gardener. So I think what I want to do is I want to get a bunch of marigolds and petunias to fill in the empty spots, because I love marigolds and petunias. But I say I have an accidental green thumb because I have never killed a plant, and I don't know how that happened. Anyway, so I've got to get the garden done. I've got a writing retreat coming up. The book is coming along really good. I'm happy with the edits. And yeah, and I've got some knitting to try to get finished up before next episode. So I'm going to cap this off here. I hope you guys are having a very nice spring, and hope you're getting some really good weather. And I will see you in probably 2 weeks' time. Bye!